you guys doing? First and foremost, I have a great deal of respect for Coach Sampson. I don't know him too well. I've run into him a few times on the recruiting trail over the last few months, and just to get to know him a little bit out recruiting, but then to prepare to play Houston, then obviously to play against him. My respect for Coach Sampson and his program has doubled, tripled, quadrupled. He does such a good job with those kids in terms of their effort level, their consistency, and their compete level, and then just how simple the game is for them. You know, it's a simple game when you can outwork the opponent, physically demanding, and they're methodical in their approach. You know, it was impressive to see on film, and it was even more impressive to see in person. For our guys, I was, you know, especially with how poorly our last two games have gone, I was pleased with our compete level. To out-rebound one of the best rebounding teams in the country was certainly a step in the right direction. It wasn't good enough, but for our guys, they understand there's a bare minimum level of effort that you have to put into every game, and that was much better than the last two games that we got smacked and blown out by 30 plus. But it was all three of these games. We scheduled these teams for a reason. We wanted our guys to feel in our program, our administration, everyone to feel what real college basketball programs look like, what they feel like, how their rosters are built, how they work together, how they compete. And it was a good measuring stick for us, and I think it's going to make us much better down the stretch and much more prepared for ACC play.
Take questions, please.
New starting lineup tonight with Somerville, Bassan, and obviously Maluk in the lineup. What went into that decision?
Yeah, Maluk Steen was out with the groin injury. He tried to play through it last game, and he was clearly a step slow. So we wanted to give him some time. Those groins, similar to hamstrings, are tricky because he tried to push through it, and he wanted to play. Last game he tried, and he was 2 steps slow the whole night, and so he tried to practice, couldn't go. So once we sat him down, we had a couple of choices to make. We could go small with Chauncey at the 5. We could go, Shah, or we could go Alir. And Alir, to me, had 2 of his best practices that he's had since I've arrived as a coach. So that was an easy decision for me. I'd like to reward guys that work hard. And then the other thing, when you lose back-to-back games in the fashion we lost, as a coach, you can't be okay with it, and you need to shake it up with some different energy. And that's, Martin has been one of our steadiest guys. Thomas obviously brings a lot of energy and a lot of defense and length when it comes to the boards. And so, we tried it. It won't stay the same. I'm going to keep mixing it up until we find a good rhythm. But I can't sit back and especially with the way the last 2 games went, I can't sit back and sit on my hands and accept that. As a coach, you gotta find some guys that are ready to work, and we'll continue to look for that.
Take the next question.
Kingston, their freshman point guard, had 8 steals. What kind of problems did he create for you guys?
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's on draft boards for a reason. I would assume, coming from the NBA, he looks like a lottery pick. Obviously there's a lot of basketball left to be played. Listening to some of his interviews leading into this game, and talking about the program, talking about Coach Sampson, he's the type of kid you want as a freshman. I mean, he works his tail off. He plays the right way. He shares the ball. Super athletic. He's poised for a freshman. I just think Coach Sampson's done such a good job recruiting to his program, and you see it with Flemings, and even the older guys like the Sharp and Milos. Like these kids are really good players, but they're about the right things. They're tough. They're gritty. They play the right way. They share the ball. And Flemings to be a 18, 19-year-old freshman and compete and play the way he does is super impressive.
Next question.
Coach, plus 25 for the bench scoring tonight. What did you see and appreciate from your bench squad today?
Yeah, part of that was we had 2 of our better players coming off the bench, in Chauncey and Kobe. Bench scoring is good in the sense that you get a little spark, but to me, it doesn't matter where your scoring comes from, the starting lineup, the bench. you got to find a way to score more points than the other team, and that's twofold. Offensively, I still think our offense isn't anywhere close to what it should be, and then defensively, you got to find a way to get stops. You got to find a way to defend with a level of physicality without fouling, and then you got to rebound the ball. And you know, tonight we started some younger guys, started 2 sophomores and a freshman tonight, and we had some seniors coming off the bench. So that was the most part of the bench scoring, but. You know, we'll continue to search for some different lineups and different rotations and find a core group of guys that can help us win games.
Any more questions for Coach?
19 total turnovers. Was it just the blitzing on those ball screens that was giving you all issues, or was it a little bit more than that?
Yeah, it was a couple things. The pressure their bigs have in terms of the ball screens is really impressive to me. I obviously haven't played everyone, but probably one of the best teams in the nation in terms of their ball screen coverage with the bigs. The other thing, that they do a great job in two parts with their hands. Every time you go to pass, they have perfect timing. You can tell they drill it. They have perfect timing, jumping in the passing lane on ball, great ball pressure, great hands on ball. And every time you get in the paint, they go body to body, they man up, and they try to strip. And obviously they were super effective with that tonight. We had way too many turnovers, especially in the paint. And things we drilled on, but again, that's why Houston has been so successful in winning more games than anyone in college basketball the last, I don't know, decade, because they just have a system, and doesn't really matter how you try to pick it apart. We thought we had something with one of our plays, and we're popping a small, cutting the next guy to force their tag a little bit higher so we can get a swing on the backside. And you know, their coaching staff did a really good job adjusting how they were guarding that. And then they just kept their physicality up, which obviously caused us to turn the ball over quite a bit.
Everybody all set?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Have a good
having
night.
us.